When we become a Christian, we have to learn from the school of grace. We have to learn from Christ to be meek. This is the subject that we're dealing with here, isn't it? In Galatians 6, to be meek. And if you are to help somebody else, you must be meek, not critical, not harsh, not coarse, not base in your language. We have to be meek. And when the Lord saves us, he puts, as it were, his yoke upon us. It's the yoke of his law. It's also the yoke of his character. We must walk in that character, in that likeness of the Lord Jesus. We must be meek, we must be lowly. But if our speech has become harsh and callous and coarse and questionable, we can't help others. We must come in a spirit of meekness. Or perhaps you've noticed somebody that is speaking in this way, how you are to address them. You are also to address them in a spirit of meekness. Don't deal with them in the way that they speak of other people. Or perhaps, secondly, it might be a fault of becoming worldly, where you've noticed somebody, you've noticed they're always hunting for the latest fashion item. They're spending so much money on clothing. They become showy. They're wanting to draw attention to themselves by their apparel, by their car, by this and that. And of course, all of that is such a bad witness for a Christian who was meant to be humble, who was meant to be meek and lowly. How do you address them? Well, a Christian who has become worldly can let down the character. They are meant to be Christ-like. They can let down the name of Christ. They are followers of Christ. And maybe you're such a person. Well, you've noticed somebody like this. All kinds of faults people can fall into. You've got to approach them with a spirit of meekness. Or perhaps the person has become very proud generally. They like to flaunt themselves. It's so predominant today, isn't it, on the internet? You notice that people who engage in social media, I don't do that. I don't like social media, but people do. And I hear about this all the time. People on Twitter, I don't think it's Twitter anymore, I think it's X or something like that, or Facebook and those sort of things. They use their accounts to flaunt themselves, to parade themselves, what they have got, what they've acquired. There's all kinds of ways that people can flaunt themselves, make a name for themselves. And they like to tell everybody how many likes they've had and how many friends they have. This is not the spirit of a Christian. This is not the way of a Christian. The Bible speaks of the pride of life and the vainglory of man. People today spend so much time on their profile, as it were, their internet profile and biography, advertising themselves and so on. Well, we have to approach those people in a spirit of meekness as well, lest we also ourselves fall into temptation.